What's up, mates? Today I will show you the build of the Kamov 32 A11BC Firefighter Simplex version of the Ministry of Civil Defense, Emergencies and Disaster Relief, Moscow. This is a Russian government agency overseeing the civil emergency services in Russia. I will convert it from the Hobby Boss kit in 48 scale with many aftermarket and tons of self-printed 3D resin parts. So let's take a look inside the build. Hope you enjoy. As you can see, on the cockpit parts, I use the aftermarket 3D decals from Kellogg's Scale Models Accessories. The cockpit main instrument panel from Kellogg is very beautiful, just gluing it on by using micro crystal clear. This is just a little peek on the way I mix my paints when brush painting. I recommend using a wet palette. The cockpit is done for now, but no weathering applied yet. A little test fit and observation. How the appearance start to take shape. Then comes the puttying and cutting. This is a mesh I ordered from China. I cut it in shape and glued with super glue. The roof windows are now also finished. The front canopy is being prepared with masking tape and liquid mask. I also added a few rows of raised rivets details. The raised rivets were from Quinta and Archer. Both are great to work with, but you have to remove the carrier film later as it will show through the primer. Here I show how I remove the carrier film of the rivets decal. You can use isopropanyl alcohol or Tamiya X20 thinner, or even hotter with Mr. Leveling thinner, but you have to be careful. And also very important, you can't do this on a primer, only on bare plastic. Otherwise, the thinner would dissolve the primer. Primed with 1500 Mr. Hobby Primer. Everybody knows that this is the way. Now let's talk about the self-designed parts I designed in Fusion 360. Here are a few of them I show in the pictures real quick. In fact, for this project I designed over 80 parts in different sizes. They were then printed on my 3D Saturn II printer. I have to admit that learning this new technique improved my work furthermore, and I am very glad I started the learning in C8 drawing 1 year ago. So we keep on pushing the build. Sanding with different grain size is of course important, as you don't want any seam lines. Then the main color was applied. It is a mix of these two colors, but later on there were more shades of white added to the helicopter. After this task, I started to mask off the horizontally colored stripes of the fuselage. It was not fun at all, I have to admit. After the orange color, I masked again inside this first area and painted with the blue color. The orange color is a mix of red and orange, if someone is interested. This was the result after many attempts. Not caught on camera were a few mistakes in over or under spray. It was, like I mentioned before, a real pain, but the reward satisfied me. The plotter did his homework, and I had templates to spray. Now, this was fun. I also created my own waterslide decals in a vector program called Inkscape and had them printed by a professional decal company. Learning the vector program isn't that difficult thanks to dozens of tutorials online, and I was very pleased with the result. Here's a picture of my own designed decals. Next, again masking and spraying, this time the doors. Here's a little sneak peek. This moment was captured on tape for eternity. That's the moment my heart stopped beating. And afterwards, I was just devastated. Every modeler has experienced something like this, and it just goes to show that decals need to be properly sealed with clear coat. That was my fault, but the Tamiya masking tape was also to blame. It's very sticky. After this disaster, I had to continue with something different. Now the rotor, also modified with lead wire and self-designed resin parts. I think it turned out quite busy. I didn't record the rotor painting video because I simply can't capture that fiddly, detailed work well with the camera. Generally speaking, I don't film many of the detailed work steps because the camera in front of my face bothers me. That's a little capture of the heavily weathered rotor blade. I found a reference picture online where it looks similar to this, but I admit I went heavy on this one. The project is accelerating, the motivation to film is decreasing, and we've made a small jump in the timeline. We're getting closer to the end. Here I used Annie's products in Tamiya Mark Fit Softener. And another jump in the timeline as I pushed it further. This is a small glimpse into the weathering process, the final step. It was simply sprayed on with heavily diluted paint and then carefully partially wiped with a mixture of water and ammonia. Let's take a look at the final result of the Kamov 32 helicopter.